Good evening, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Facebook friends, YouTube. It's time to rock and roll. It's time for Market Monday. Every Monday night, we're here, 6 p.m. It's Central Time for me. Where is it for you? Let me know in the comments. Where are you at tonight? We have people who join us from all over the country, some every single week. Of course, we have a lot of folks who are going to watch this on recording. So whenever you are, hello to you tonight as well. Excited for the session. We cover a lot of ground here on Market Monday. We've just finished an option series. Okay, we talked about options, some of the things that you can do with options. Some of you understand what options are. Now you know more about how they can work. Some of you have never even heard of an option. So here's one of the things that I notice. Being in a position where I get to work with traders, new ones, veteran ones. I was in a room in Orlando this past weekend with 450 brand new traders. And, one of the questions that comes up, if this is possible, right? If trading options, some of what you can do with options is possible, how come more people don't do that, right? How come more people don't do it? There are risks and benefits associated with options, but the question when it's posed to me is to say, investing. All right, I'm going to tell you this, right? We talked about options. Okay, if you have a 401k, an IRA, a Roth IRA, whatever it is, whatever retirement vehicle it is, I asked here on Market Monday, just a few episodes ago, how many of you, I've asked large rooms of people the question that I'm going to ask right now. How many of you have ever been advised, your financial advisor, right? They're supposed to advise. What do they advise you to do when the market is crashing, right? The NASDAQ, I was just talking with one of our other Tradeway coaches just a moment ago. The NASDAQ's still down 23%, right? I believe the S&P is down 14% now and headed back down. What are they advising you to do? Well, one of the things we covered, right? If you're not hearing anything from your advisor, protecting your money, and I've said this many times on here, I've seen the accounts. I've seen them dropping. Now, some fluctuation in a long-term retirement account is not abnormal, right? We don't want to overdo it, and that's something we teach and talk about here at Tradeway. But what about put options, right? What about put options? I'm just giving you a very simple thing. You say, what's a put option? Well, we talked about that in the series, but just so you know, that is something that was created as insurance for your money. If your stocks are going down, the put option is the insurance contract that makes money when your stocks are going down. Even that simple thing right there, which is what we do on our home insurance, our car insurance, our health insurance, our life insurance, our whatever insurance, right? If something happens to the asset, the insurance covers it. That exists for stocks. And most people don't know that. That is ground level basic Wall Street. And that is why we exist here at Tradeway. I am one of the coaches over at Tradeway. We exist to break down the confusing world of finance for you, okay? So that is one thing that could be a radical addition to the security of your financial future. And we talked about that in the options series. And that's just one thing that we talked about in that series. So we've got some friends on tonight. We got Facebook, we got YouTube. Wherever you're coming from, you can go back and watch these videos if you have missed them. Troy is here. I'm going to call you Troy Lamb. I'm going to call you TL. Troy is on. Doris is joining us from Dallas, Texas. Doris, we are getting some rain. Hallelujah. We are finally getting some rain. It meant I was delayed last night, but that's okay with me. It's about 75 degrees out here in Dallas, and that is a wonderful thing. Linda from Oklahoma. Janet from Oklahoma. Susan, I have always, I'm going to put this up, each time been told to just leave it alone. Hey, just leave it alone, right? If your financial advisor makes an argument to say, you know what, we got to just play the long-term game here, Blair. Got to play that long-term game, Linda. All right? I don't know, Janet. You got to play that long-term game. I wonder why we never even get so much as a suggestion, right? All right, let's not take it out. Let's just put some insurance on it because the market is really crazy. The economy is really crazy right now. It's dropping. Let's just buy some insurance. We'll spend some money, right? If the market just goes completely flat, right, then we'll lose some money on that insurance. But overall, we'll have insured the account and protected ourselves from the downside. Even that would be enough. But in so many cases, you've never been told that, and that is why we exist, so that you get information that you didn't have, so you can do something that you couldn't do before. We want to get that to you because we want you guys to win. So, Market Monday here. We are practical, and tonight we want to get practical. Let's go look at some stocks. Let's get into the market, right? I want to show you guys the process here that we can learn to use when we're going out and saying, you know what, I'm not looking to do long-term buy and hold here, but I'm actually looking to go out and take advantage of shorter price swings. And some of the ways that we can do that. Doris, I see you there as well. Finally, yes, of course. Yes, finally. Commenting on the rain, of course. Thank you for that. Susan is tagging up a storm. You can always tag people. If you know people on Facebook that you want to get this video or reference this video, you can always tag them. Of course, on YouTube, you can share it. If you haven't subscribed on YouTube, go ahead, click that button. You can also hit like on Facebook. That way you don't miss anything should it come up. We do stuff all the time. All right. So first things first, guys, I mentioned. Now let's zoom out a little bit here. Okay. The market is down from the high, still about 14%. Now, a lot of people have asked me recently, Blair, is that bear market over? Is the bull market back? And you have to go, first of all, we don't know for sure because anything can happen. And that's one of the rules we talk about here at Tradeway. We are learning to find good opportunities in the market. But remember, this is not long-term buy and hold investing. This is short-term trading. So we're actually saying, you know what? I don't need to know the future. And I'll lay it on a little bit heavier tonight and say, I don't really care about trying to learn the future. It can't be done. And the skill of a trader is not trying to know what the future is. The skill of a trader is knowing where the good opportunities are, right? Those aren't guaranteed opportunities, but they're good opportunities. And the skill is knowing that, sometimes those aren't present. And that's when we just don't trade. So I want to show you tonight, what are some things that look like opportunities out in the markets right now, as well looking at the S&P 500 to comment, is that bear market over? Well, remember that even though we don't know the future, we do know the past, right? And in the past, bear markets have had significant bounces. In some cases, the markets have recovered some 20, 30+% on a bounce before actually failing again. So if we forget that, then we can look at the positivity, which you can see on the chart here, right? It's not my opinion. It's exemplified on the chart. We hit a bottom, tried to recover sideways, came back down, right? And exploded into this nice trend, right? This is what we call an uptrend, peaks and valleys. That's how I always say it for new folks, right? Peaks and valleys, makes a peak, makes a valley, makes a peak, makes a valley, makes a peak, makes a valley. And it's awesome that when it does that along the same line, right? This is what we call technical analysis. This is essentially the basics of technical analysis. You say, well, yeah, Blair, but check it out. That thing actually broke through. That's right, it did, right? If you're one of our students who understand how to take advantage of these patterns, then you never would have been in that anyway, because it didn't do one of the things that we need it to do, right? It didn't start moving up, right? It didn't move up at the line, which we call support. So it's actually breaking down again. Now, does this mean we're going, I'm sorry, guys, I'm resuming this a lot. Does it mean we're going all the way back down to where we were? I don't know that yet, right? I don't know that yet. But I want to show you something significant that I'm going to be watching in the next little while. And I think you guys should be watching this as well. Remember that right now, inflation is one of the big reasons why the market is moving down. Okay. A lot of negativity out there today because the markets were selling off. There has been some positivity, but overall, it's really the Fed interest rates and the CPI, or the inflation rate, that's really been looming, right? That's been the dark cloud over the economy that has actually caused the panics. I shouldn't say panic, I should say fearful sell off in the market. And a big part of those increases in inflation that we've been hearing month after month is fuel, right? Gas prices have gone up tremendously. And here's the thing, when gas prices go up, everything goes up because we've got to get stuff and we've got to take it somewhere and we got to drop it off and we got to use fuel to do that. On top of that, there's been a real political push against oil and gas. On top of that, there's been some fundamental factors with Europe and their energy that have created pressure for the rest of the world as well. I don't believe the current administration's overemphasis of that fact. It is more the reality that we are somewhat at war with oil and gas in and of itself that's fundamentally driving up these prices. But you can see we went way up, okay? And then we got a pretty good drop. So then we got an inflation reading this month on the 10th. Apologize for that, guys. We got an inflation reading on the 10th, and it was lower. Why? Because oil and gas has gone down significantly. So this is a big factor in what we expect with that inflation rate. Well, we're starting to see oil and gas creep up, right? We're starting to see it move back up. It topped out up here around $90, a little bit above, but around $90 before resetting back to 65. That's a pretty big drop. So we saw that inflation rate drop, and that meant people said, this is positive. All right. Well, what happened? Right? Let's tie this together. I'll tell you what happened. The market did that, right? Got to zoom in more here. Lots of zoom in tonight. It did that. It got a nice rip higher, I would say, right? That's what I would call it. What I'm going to be watching for in the next little bit, and I would caution you to do the same. If oil and gas really starts to come roaring back, guess what we're going to see? Probably we're going to be seeing a higher inflation number. If we see that again, then I would suspect the market is going to take that not so well, right? Not so well. And that's going to set us up for another move down. When we closed yesterday, I've told you guys this many times on here. I'm going to get rid of some of these lines. This is from helping students. We look over at the NASDAQ, which is the tech stocks. Okay, I want you guys to know that, the S&P 500 is a great index to be watching because it covers 500 publicly traded companies, right? The best companies from across 11 sectors in our economy. It's a great snapshot. But tech is very powerful. Tech is very popular. And not every stock in the S&P 500 is weighted the same, okay? Meaning tech has more influence over the movement of the S&P 500 than a lot of the other stocks. So it stands to reason that we pay attention to what's going on over in tech as well. And we can do that a couple of different ways. We can look at an ETF for the tech sector for the S&P 500, which would be the XLK, right? We could type in XLK. I was just showing you the energy sector a moment ago, which is XLE. It's helpful to look at these sectors that we're looking at trading or that we know have an influential place in the market cycle, the news, what the Fed is looking at. And so certainly energy is a part of that, which is what I just explained. But here we're looking at the NASDAQ. I noticed on the close of Friday, I'll tell you guys this, I told our students, we're looking at the S&P moving back into the trend here, okay? But let me just refresh this and see if I can expand this for you guys here. That's better. Okay. It comes down into our support line and into the 10-day. So that's a potential support level. What's a caution on that? A caution on that is that over here on the NASDAQ, it doesn't look so good, right? It actually closed below its 10-day and had some room to fall before it even gets down to the next level here at the 20-day, which today it actually smashed through that and broke well below it. So we're definitely seeing things a little bit softer on this side. Until I start to see this find some support, I'm not really going to trust a whole lot over on the S&P 500. So the old saying is, don't try to catch a falling knife, right? Let it hit the ground. And when it stops, then you can reach down and pick it up, right? So we need to see where this is going. I'm going to show you some stocks tonight that we could keep an eye on as contingency for the market, for a move in the market if it continues down. I think we need to pay attention to what we would call this moving average cluster right here. We've got the 50-day and the 100-day moving average on there, as well as getting pretty close. I should say getting pretty close to that level. So we've got to watch to see what it does there for sure, but definitely having broken out of that trend, which was pretty steep. Okay. So you definitely want to wait for that to find a place to land in here before we do too much of anything. Now, I will say this. When markets are moving down, it's helpful to think the opposite. Because when markets are moving down, what are patterns doing? Well, they're resetting. If they're extended, we need some down movement for them to reset. If we don't think that way, we can think, oh man, the market's so negative. We're not thinking buying stocks. We're not thinking buying calls. We're not thinking long strategies, right? Where it goes up to make money. And if we can remember that, then we can look for some opportunities that are resetting, because stocks can't go up forever. They have to reset. Now, it's important when we think that way that we wait again for the falling knife to hit the ground, because otherwise we can be such a contrarian that anytime the stocks are moving down, we think, well, this is a reset. I got to buy. No, we don't want to just buy to buy, right? We want to find a good solid trend, a pattern, wait for it to hit support, stop, reverse, turn around, go the other way, and then we can see if we have the momentum we need. That's a very practical approach to that, right? If you don't know how to identify patterns, draw support and resistance, and look for that bounce, that's a game changer, right? That's a game changer to having an understanding of how people begin to navigate trading in the markets. And in this case, we have to wait to see if that's actually going to happen. Like I said, right there around that 50 or 100 day, but we are definitely below that line for now. Okay. I'm going to get rid of these boxes here from last week. That's when we looked at our iron condors that we looked at on our iron condor session that we did last week. Remember, you can always go back and watch that. So that's where the market is at right now. Okay. But is it a price reset on some different patterns? Well, let's take a look for a second. Okay. Here's a popular enough stock, huh? I bet you guys have probably heard of this company. This is Apple, right? Now, Apple, here was a downtrend, right? It would move up, fall, move up, fall, move up, fall, big one. And then it started going even heavier, but it came back eventually, fell, came back, fell, came back, fell just a little before the market turned, and we finally got a breakout. Then we got a peak, and we got a valley, peak, valley, peak, valley, peak. Again, just kind of like what it did over here on the 10-day, except the other way around. It only came back to the 10, and now what have we done? Well, we've reset. I think I can get it if I zoom in. Yeah, a little bit. It's moving into the 20. Now, it's not there yet, right? But is this a reset? Now, the market is pretty negative right now, okay? So I want to caution you. I want to say this again just to make sure this comes through, because we've got all kinds of people here, different skill levels. But if you're familiar with our program, you know what I'm going to say. We've got to wait for that turnaround. We got to wait for that bounce. So I'm not suggesting that tomorrow morning, as soon as the market opens, we ought to run out and buy Apple. But I am saying there is a reset happening. The market news is negative. The market price is negative. But maybe some of these stocks are actually resetting in that negativity. And that's a little bit of that contrarian mindset that I was referring to that can be so helpful. Okay. Now I'm going to run through some of these quick here, make sure I didn't miss any comments from you guys. Of course, as always, if you guys have comments, concerns, questions, anything you want to throw in there regarding something we may be covering, maybe something else to do with stocks, I would be happy to answer that. So go ahead and fire that in there. I looked at this guy already. That's energy. So we're going to go ahead and click that out of there. I'm going to come back to those. I think, yeah, this one got left in my list. But you know what? This is actually kind of interesting. Because if you're in our program, you know there's a potential, and I think it may have failed here. There's a potential pattern right there, right? There's a potential pattern. We would have liked to see that 10-day hold. It did not do that, but that's beyond the scope of what we're doing tonight. I'm going to click that one out of there. It just remained in my list from a previous session. Here's another one, right? What's Costco doing? Making that peak, making that valley, peak, valley, peak, valley, peak, valley, peak, valley. Still above the 20-day. What line did it use here? 20. Which one here? 20. 20, 20. So here we are coming back. It may not. If this market melts down, right? Well, then that's no good, right? That's not a tradeway opportunity because we got to have 3 separate things for every single trade we do. We talk about that in our step 1. One of them is we got to have that market in line with the trade we're doing. Right now, we do not have that. So I say that as a caution, but it's a reset. Okay. So as I go in and I begin to look for actual trades, not throwing darts at a wall, guessing, gambling, or going for it, but I actually begin to have a process. The first thing I'm doing is going through a watch list, which we curate watch lists for our students so that they have somewhere to start, right? There are 8,000 publicly traded plus companies and many, many, many other assets to trade, ETFs and things like that. So there's a lot of stuff out there. We narrow that down for folks, and then we go in and begin a process which starts at looking at patterns. So we really do have a method to the madness here. And when it doesn't fit what we're looking for, we chuck it out, right? Looking through watch lists for me is more about eliminating stocks than it is about finding them, because most of the ones I see are going to be ones that I eliminate, right? Most stocks that I see are not going to be good opportunities. Sometimes new students think maybe they're doing something wrong because they're not finding a lot of good trades. That's not necessarily the case, right? We need to flip that mindset a little bit. Actually, as we get good at it, we're finding that most stocks we look at, they're not good opportunities. Right? So you have permission to look at something and say, that one's not good, or that one's not good today, right? That one's not good today. But when we train your eyes to see what's always been there, right? But you just don't have the discernment, right, to pick it out. That's what we help you do so that you see what you haven't seen so you can do what you haven't done. That's the goal here in learning how to do this. And I'll come out and I'll look for something like that, right? If I'm looking on the upside, well, Blair, how do you know the market's going to go to the upside? I don't. Well, what if it goes to the downside? Well, I'm going to come through and I'm going to look at patterns that are conducive to that, right? What have we got going on here? What do I got? I got peaks and valleys, man. Right? Peaks and valleys, up and down, up and down. And it came up into this level and it's falling down. It's actually hitting right on this previous horizontal and then this gap line right here. Boom. And it's dropping. Let me zoom in and show you guys. Right? Nice move down off that level. Right? I could bump this up a tiny bit here. I'll wait till I zoom out. So it's looking the other way. Say, well, wait a second. Why would you want to trade a stock that's going down? Well, I wouldn't want to buy a stock that's going down. That's for sure, right? Hopefully, we've established that here on Market Monday by now. But what if I did put options? Remember, I just told you they were created to work opposite of a stock. That's what a put option does. When the stock goes down, I'm losing value on the stock. Bummer, right? I don't like that. What if I have a whole retirement account and my stock is moving down? Well, I don't like that. So you could just get out, but there's a certain level of not excellence, although that's probably a correct word, but there's a certain level of skills and experience. That's the word I'm looking for, that you're going to need to have before you're really looking at entering and exiting the market with your retirement account. Something more simple for many of us could be looking at insurance, right? It makes money when the stock goes down. I talked about that. In this case, I wouldn't use it as insurance, right? I'm just looking for the stock to go down and I can benefit off of that, right? Now, insurance contracts, in this case, options, have certain complexities. They also have certain risks. So you don't want to go out and just start trading options without knowing how to do that. And we at Tradeway have a very specific way that we do that. We train our folks on that specific way so that they understand what they're doing, they understand what the risks are, and they set themselves up to be the best possible trader that they can be. But pretty cool opportunity, right? And all I'm doing is I'm looking the other way, right? I'm looking on the downside. And if I have those skill sets, it creates a tremendous amount of opportunity because now anything that's moving down, or the market as a whole when it's moving down, right, is not disqualification anymore. If I'm buying stocks, I'm not interested in that. But if I have put options, now it opens up literally a whole new world of opportunities because going down is now an opportunity. And I would say it's less fear, right? Not only are there more opportunities, but when we're in the box of stocks, I've never said that before, right? There's only one way that benefits us. And what I try to help students understand is that one of the beautiful things about options is that it gets us out of that box so that we can take advantage of many different things, right? We're not stuck on one thing because the market isn't going to do that one thing all the time. It's going to do different things. So you and I as traders can learn here at Tradeway how to do some of those different things, and that helps us feel confident. So it's not just about making money. It's about knowing that we have what we need to handle whatever the economy or market throws at us, right? Even if it's just ensuring our long-term money, right? That's a huge thing. Here, what have I got? I've got a reset. Where? Into support, right? It went up, it came down. It went up, it came down. Now, we have an earnings report here. Again, those Tradeway students that are on tonight, you know what that is and you know what that means, okay? But technically speaking, the pattern here, boom. You've got really two patterns on the screen right now. It's potentially channeling, rolling, but there's another pattern on here, right? Not so bad for put options that might happen tomorrow, right? I'm not trying to be, overly cryptic, but if we've got a pretty significant line here and it breaks down below that, then typically that's a pattern we would look at. There's some rules that we have around patterns in this specific one, but it's a pattern, right? There are price patterns. And in this case, if it breaks that line, that's pretty significant. The sellers have come in and they've taken over at a line that they haven't been able to take over on for a little while. And that could open this up for a nice move down, okay? The earnings on there is what really takes this one out of our hands, though, because we don't want to trade that way over earnings. So that's a big deal on there as well. Coming out here, looking at another one, right? Let me zoom in a little bit more. There we go. Look at Hewlett Packard, right? This is another reset. Now, this one's below those moving averages. I don't like that very much. I would need to see something significant. Once again, this one's got earnings not too far away, right on the doorstep. But what I want to show you tonight is the reset. It's a contrary way of looking at it. Again, it doesn't mean I just run out and buy it. I need to know what triggers a buy, right? And we teach that in our system. We've got to know what to buy, when to buy, and why. However, getting that idea, when the market's negative, traders are getting set up, right? The world's freaking out. Traders are setting up. See, economic recessions to traders are opportunities. And I was going to say once in a lifetime opportunities. Hopefully, not only once in a lifetime, right? Because even though we don't celebrate recessions here at Tradeway, the typical American lives through multiple recessions, not just one. But that is a huge opportunity. Now, we are technically in a recession, but if we see a bigger one, I'll tell you what, there is some things that I plan for in a major recession, because what happens in a recession? Prices reset. They drop, and fear falls faster than greed rises, right? That's how stocks work. We have another coach who says, stocks take the stairs up, but the elevator down. Right? I credit Jeffrey Nance for that one. Stairs up, but the elevator down. So there's tremendous opportunity. And we have to look at that as well. Things are resetting. Here, another good pattern that resets. And if it does the thing that I want it to do, right, that I know to watch for, then I can take advantage of that opportunity. If it doesn't do that, that's fine. I just move on, right? I just move on and I don't even think about it. I think we looked at this one already, right? Costco, Apple. This was one that was left in my list. Some of these outperformers, right, that are just doing very well, even though the market moved down pretty significantly. So wanting to give you a picture, I'm going to take this off the screen for a moment, a picture of some of the things that are going on out there. Now, Linda, I apologize. I didn't see your comment there. Linda said, what stock is that? 627. So a few minutes ago. I have BAX, NVDA, FDX, HPQ, COST, Apple, WM, and then we looked at the SPX and we looked at the NASDAQ as well. Okay. Yes, Susan, you got it. You're right. You're right. My grandma and dad worked for HP for 50 years, made parts for the Apollo program. Wow, that's amazing. That's pretty amazing. I mean, when I look back, I'm sorry, you guys can't see the chart here. Let's get it back in there just for a second. I even look back just to what's our date here? March. Hey, that's March 2020. Let's say even prior to the COVID crash, the stock's at $24, gets down to, oh my goodness, 12, 13 bucks, and just went on a tear. Look at how sideways this has been. We looked at some strategies in our options that, again, the information, this is true of life. There are opportunities that are staring us in the face. We just have to learn how to see them. I'm not trying to oversimplify that, right? But I have to know how to see them. If before I started studying this and learning from people who knew how to do this, and you showed me this screen, I would have never seen that this goes from here to there, from here to there, from here to there, here to there, here to there, right? There's some messy spots in there, but it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I would have never seen that. It's right there in front of us, right? Amazing, amazing. Appreciate you sharing that, Jeffrey. Thank you so much. Yes, Janet is commenting on a specific tool, okay, that's in the charting software I've been showing you, which is what we call Charts by Tradeway. There are some things called indicators in here, okay? I can go right here and I can select a whole list of indicators. Now, it might be a little intimidating that I zoom through that many, but we show you how to use these. Now, I don't use all of these in here, okay? Different people use different things. I've showed you some indicators today when I talk about these lines here, right? 100-day, 50-day, 20-day. You heard me say that today. There are so many cool tools out there for you and I to be able to trade in the markets. And you only need a laptop. You only need an internet connection, right? And you even with Charts by Tradeway, you can come in, you have a virtual account. You can start practicing. I call it like riding your bike on the grass, right? Not if you fall, but when you fall, it's okay. You're on the grass. You're just practicing and you can build some confidence and move into the market. We will train you on how to do that. That is the beauty of what we do here at Tradeway. Now, we talked tonight about protecting your money in a bear market, protecting your money when you have somebody maybe who's managing it right now that isn't communicating, or if they are communicating, it's not what you feel like you need to be hearing, right? Where we're paying massive amounts of fees on the front end and the back end for mutual funds and things that we don't even know what they are. We don't even know where we're in, and we're losing money and nobody's telling us anything. Well, here at Tradeway, we got a solution for you. We've got something we call Amped. Okay. I have, it's funny. I have the link for you here, but I just copied it and it copied a ton of other stuff. There we go. I'm popping it in there for you guys, YouTube, Facebook. This is a no commitment consultation, right? This is a webinar that you guys can join and understand. What do we do here at Tradeway? We use our trading skills to help us manage our money in the long term as well. Okay. We show you how we do that in a unique way. So if you're concerned about that, what's going to happen in this next leg down, if it should come, what if we do get a big reset? I want to be set up for that, right? I want to have an opportunity to grow like all long-term money should, but I also want to have more risk management on the downside, because the number one thing you got to, I would say, I was going to say you got to recognize in trading, but I'll say it this way. As I work with people, I got to admit in trading that it's not what you make, it's what you keep, right? It's not what you make, it's what you keep. You know, I meet people all the time who've tried trading from YouTube University, right? And in some cases, rare, but in some, they make money and they give it back. And they're in a cycle, right? And those are the best case. So you don't want to run on the cycle, and you don't want to do that with your retirement money. You spend years, decades even building that up. And I actually spoke to one of the directors in this program just today about the results of that program and how it's protecting money for people. So Susan says she can't see the link. So let me go ahead. I'm going to pop it in again here, Susan, because it's saying it's posted for both. That right there, that is your Facebook link. I just popped it up on the actual broadcast. Now you won't be able to click it there, but you guys can let me know, those Facebook friends that are with us, if you see that coming through. You don't want to take that chance with the long-term investment, right? We want to protect what we have so that we land where we've been projecting to land, okay? What we're going to do on this webinar is give you guys a comprehensive look at how we do that, okay? It's no commitment to you except some time, which we would graciously ask for, so we can show you how we do this, because it actually is really powerful. So you can do that. Jeffrey says he has it on his end there, Susan. So you should be able to see it in the comments, okay? Hey, this is what we do here at Market Monday. Conversation, consultation. We're looking at the markets. We looked at actually some stocks tonight. This is how we go through and begin to see what is actually an opportunity and what's not. You go, Blair, I just looked at 100 stocks and I don't see any patterns. Well, I would say, number one, have we trained you to do it? If we have, then you may look through a lot of stocks, not see good patterns. That's okay. Keep looking, because we're just disqualifying trades. Now, I didn't have to go through too many stocks tonight, where I did find some that are potentially in that reset. So if the market bounces up, you got some opportunity that could be potential there. If it breaks down, there are some others. So you see how that knowledge helps us go out and identify, hey, I don't need to know what the future is, right? I don't need to know what's going to happen tomorrow in the markets, right? I can just manage my risk using a system. And that's, of course, what this is all about. Okay. I appreciate you guys very much for coming on a Monday night, spending 40 minutes. Man, that was a fast 40 minutes, you guys, being on with me, giving you some practicals, getting an idea. Watch that energy level, right? Gas prices. I think that's going to be important here. We don't have an inflation reading for, let's see, what is the date today, guys? It is the 22nd. I believe it's September 10th. So we got a little bit of time for that, but I think that's probably going to shape up to be a story to see, do we really start to see a bigger move down or not? But there's some negativity settling in, so we'll see what happens tomorrow morning. For those of you who are with us tomorrow morning inside the Tradeway program, I look forward to seeing you then. If you are not, head on over tradeway.com. You can join the Step 1 live event right there. We just did one last weekend, a group of 50 students who are on there learning our foundational event. It's an investment of time. You spend 2 days with us, but I promise you we will make it worth your while. Come on in and see us, learn the system there. Tom, thank you. Jeffrey, Janet, Susan, everybody who was on here. Appreciate you guys. And we will see you next week, same time as they used to say, same bad.